Hello again, Taylor County. I'm Alex Renham, and I'm here with Rob Angus, running for County Commission. Rob, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. Hey, let's start out. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name's Rob Angus. I'm 45 years old. I've lived in Grafton since May of 2000. I think we moved down here. I lived in Morgantown while I was a student at WVU. I've tried to be as active in the community as I can. I've coached baseball, football, flag football for a number of years. Currently coaching senior league. I've got 3 children, two of which have already graduated from Taylor County, from Grafton High School, and my youngest son is a student at Taylor County Middle right now. He's in 7th grade, and my 2 oldest are both students at WVU.
Great. I think everybody has their idea of what a county commissioner is or does, or what the role is. But what's yours?
What's my role for county commission?
What's your idea? Yeah, what's your perspective on county commission?
I think it's someone who obviously is going to manage county business on one end, but also someone who works closely with the community and has an open ear and an open mind. I really think that Taylor County is a small town, and in my mind, we can't do things, I don't want to say by the book, but we got to think outside the box in terms of how we're funding any of our projects and what we need to do to grow the community. I really think that we need to grow, but we can't do that on the backs of the taxpayer.
Yeah, makes sense. If you are, I guess, explain to us something. I mean, you mentioned a lot about your past and history. What's a challenge or an experience or a job or a role or something you've done in the past that you feel qualifies you, to be a great leader for the county?
Okay.
For the county.
I've done project management for a big engineering company in Morgantown for just about the last 10 years, and my role at the engineering company. Basically, when we put a project out into the field, I shepherd it from basically design documents through completion. And most of the projects that we work with are multi-million-dollar public-funded projects all throughout the state. We've done several through the state park system, several through the public school system. How I think that parlays into making me qualified to be county commission. Several of those projects and several of the project meetings function much in the same way as government. You know, they all have a budget, they all have a strict set of guidelines, all which have to be followed. I'm very versed in public meetings. Each of those projects they're mandated to have meetings every 2 weeks, and then most of them are a very formal setting. So. I really think that my experience there, plus I own my own business, and I've also worked for city government in Morgantown. The whole time I was a student at WVU, I worked for the park system for the city of Morgantown. So I'm very experienced with small town government, public funding, and pretty much all the things that it takes to sit in office.
If you're elected, what is your #1 priority rolling into the office?
The first thing that I think we need to do, and it's kind of a multi-pronged approach, we have to attract business to Taylor County. We've just been kind of coasting I've lived here for a long time, and we're just kind of coasting along, and we're not really attracting any new business, and we're not generating any new taxes. And the most important thing is our citizens don't have anywhere to work. Everybody's having to commute out of town in order to get a good job, with the exception of the small, few large businesses that are in town. So we have to attract industry to Taylor County. Now, in order to do that, in my mind, in order to attract industry, we have to improve the school systems, and we have to improve recreation, because anytime that you try to recruit a large business, the very first thing they look at is your school system, and the second thing they look at is recreation. And if you don't have top-notch in both categories, they're not coming. So I think those are the paramount things that we need to work on, and I think that'll put us in contention with trying to attract some business to our area.
That makes sense. So let's play that further a little bit. So after your first term or multiple terms or whenever it is you say, okay, I'm done with my commission duties. What kind of legacy would you want to be left behind when people think Rob Angus and County Commission? What do you want them thinking?
Well, I would really like to start a recreation program in Taylor County. And when I say Taylor County, I don't just mean on the county level. I think that because we're a small town and funding is an issue, I think that's something that we need to reach out to the other branches of local government and maybe partner with the city and do a city-county recreation league. And I would really like to see, maybe we can get some community development grants and we can build a recreation center so that the students in Taylor County have something to do. There are very, very few recreation opportunities in Grafton, and I don't just mean athletics. I think we need to develop the athletics as well, but we need to have some things for the kids that aren't involved in sports to do as well. And I think if we can do that, that's another box that we can check in order to attract business to the community.
That makes sense. So one of the things I've asked every candidate, and will continue to ask it just because it consumes every level of leadership within our lives, is the opioid addiction. Mm-hmm. And from a county perspective, what do you believe that you'll either try to do as a commissioner, or you think the county should take in order to help prevent or alleviate the symptoms, whatever they can do?
Mm-hmm. I actually have a very specific plan for that. If you look at the statistics, West Virginia is near the top of the list for per capita overdoses and drug arrests and everything else. What I would like to do, and it's a little complicated, but I think I can make it work. We are equidistant from 3 universities. You've got Alderson, Broadus, and Philippi, Fairmont State in Marion County, and WVU in Morgantown. There's several students there that need internship opportunities, and I would like to hire some interns to function as grant writers, and we need to go. I know that there are millions of dollars being appropriated to combat the opioid problem, but if we don't go get it, we're not gonna be, no one is just gonna hand us the money. You've got to go get it. And I think that's one of the best things that we can do is we can take some of those college kids that are looking for resume builders, let them write grants, let them help us go get the money, because again, Grafton is a small town. All of the people that work for the city and the county are all strapped with their everyday job, and it's tough to make time to spend all the time that it takes to get a grant and fill out all the paperwork. And I think that's a near free resource that we've been missing out on for a while.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I think you're aware we polled the citizens of Taylor County for questions, and
Mm-hmm.
the county commission had no shortage of questions asked, and we kind of tried to fulfill them down in some themes and some topics. And one of the things, and this was it really. Are you going to be a full-time commissioner? That seems to be a real interest of our public, and I'm not sure exactly where that comes from, but are you going to be a full-time commissioner? I mean, you say you've got a job. How do you fit in and fulfill the duties of a county commissioner?
Actually, yes, I am planning on being a full-time commissioner. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, great. One of the other topics is around transparency. Knowing what's happening, and this is a two-way street. People need to want to be engaged,
Mm-hmm.
want to engage, but they also have to be engaged. And there's a proactive level I think people expect from leadership in positions within the county or city or state or federal level, where they're reaching out and trying to communicate with the public. What's your perception on that, or what will you do as a commissioner to help improve transparency communication, whether it's perception or reality?
Right. Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is much like you're doing right now. This is going to air, I'm assuming, on the public television channel.
Yeah.
The technology exists today that it would not be expensive to broadcast all of the meetings publicly. And I think that's very important, because just like myself, I've wanted to try to make some of the county commission meetings, but I work till 5:30, and I work in Morgantown, and by the time I get to Grafton and, downtown ready to go to the meeting. It's already started. So for, the folks that want to be engaged but can't be there when the meeting happens, they can set their DVR or obviously it's probably not going to be a live broadcast. So, but I think everyone deserves to know exactly what goes on at a county commission meeting, and they need to be able to make their voice heard. If they want to speak at a meeting or be involved, they need to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think on the same time of talking being proactive from a transparency and communication perspective, there was a lot of folks really reaching out with this theme of they feel like there's a reactive leadership, and I don't know whether that's a fair estimation or not, but there certainly is a sentiment of its responses saying, well, no one's brought that to us, or no one's told us that that's a problem. And now, again, this is a two-way street, but the idea is, how could you as a commissioner be proactive in your leadership and driving solutions as opposed to being reactive and things just as they come in front of you then to make a decision on that?
I think the best thing to do there is use the tools that are available to everyone. Let's set up a Facebook page so that the people that want to see things happen in the community, they can contact the county commission via Facebook, via social media, and we can respond and address those concerns, or at least get it on an agenda so that the bottom line at the end of the day, we work for the voters. So you in my mind cannot be a responsible commissioner if you're not addressing the needs and concerns of the people that put you in office.
Makes sense. One of the other topics was it's a big topic at the city, but it was also at the county level. Several folks were reaching out about revitalizing structures in the county. And I think they were also mentioning about maybe, because the city has done a lot of demolition through the last few years, and also have a matching program for facades and those things. What's your perspective or your opinion around the county offering those kind of incentivizing programs or matching programs for people to improve their structures, whether they be commercial or private, and then even cleaning up some of the structures that may, and some allege that may be used as drug houses and things that are left abandoned? What's your thoughts around that?
I think the city has made great strides in removing those facilities, and anyone who drives through town can see that there's definitely still a huge need for that to happen, and I believe that it's important for the county to be involved. And we can kind of rewind for a second and touch again on the community recreation. I know the Manus Theater is right here on Main Street. There's been several phased approaches to try to revitalize that. What I would like to do, going back to being a full-time commissioner, I also own a heating and cooling business, and I do electric and plumbing and HVAC. What I would like to do is directly supervise some of those projects. If we can talk with the folks that are managing the Manos and possibly upgrade, slowly as money is available, upgrade the HVAC system to where we're not paying a contractor to do it. We can do it in-house. There's a huge labor pool right down the street with the Pruneytown Correctional Facility. I know that currently we do use those folks, and there's also a community corrections program. I would like to see a stronger effort in using those folks for public capital improvement projects that directly affect the voters or the public, or if we use them to put borders around the playground, something that isn't just sweeping the streets and picking up cigarette butts. It possibly gives the folks that are either at Pruneytown or in the community corrections program a new skill that they can use once their sentence is up, and a sense of self-worth that they can look at a project before it was started and then look at it again after completion and see that they actually completed something. So plus it's another one of those think outside the box things where we're doing good for the community and we're spending the least amount of money possible.
Yeah, there was a lot of folks reaching out about transportation too, and I don't know if any in your research before your candidacy, I think there were some past efforts around in the county or the city around a bus service, or local or even a regional bus service.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any opinion on that?
I do. I think that we, for starters, we need to reach out to our neighboring larger communities. I know that Morgantown offers the Mountain Line, I believe it is the bus service that comes out of Morgantown. They offer several services to neighboring small communities where it's a partnership between Taylor County or the city of Grafton, or Taylor County and the city of Grafton, to where they will send a bus, a couple of times a day, depending on the arrangement, so that if there are folks here that need to go to Morgantown, need to get to the hospital and want to go to the mall or whatever, that need to rely on public transportation, we need to make that available. And not just out of downtown Grafton. The same thing with Flemington and the outlying areas. That if there's a need for that, we need to be filling it. And if it turns out later that we can generate enough revenue to where we can support our own bus system, possibly get a grant for that, I'm all for that. I think that's a great thing.
Speaking for the transportation to actually people coming in and staying in the community, from a tourism standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
We've heard that the large chain hotels aren't really interested. The demographics aren't here to bring them in, and so some folks are reaching out. Well, what can the county maybe do to incentivize B&Bs or an Airbnb program type thing where folks can open up their homes potentially? And that sounds like an odd idea, I'm sure, to some people at home, but certainly happening all over the U.S. And so the question is, how can we, is there economic growth in our tourism, and how can we bridge the gap of folks being able to come in here and stay here?
Mm-hmm. Initially, I think that it's important. Something that we could do to get that off and running immediately is let's partner with the folks from the state park system. We've got a state park neighboring. It's actually in Taylor County, neighboring the city limits of Grafton. There's a lodge there that I can tell you firsthand, because I've done a lot of work out there, that is vacant a large portion of the year. So one of the things that I think we can do initially is try to use the lake, try to use the park, and partner with those folks at the state, offer some programs out there that will attract people to the community and get them not only to go to the park, but to come to Grafton and shop in our local stores and spend money eating at the local restaurants.
Yep, makes sense. One of the topics around economic development here in the county, I think everybody sees all the water trucks, the gas,
Mm-hmm.
So it's here and it's coming. And if you read anything with the hub potentially coming in, the storage facility up in potentially the northwestern part of the state, there's concern, there's excitement, there's all these things. How can Taylor County, and what would you be your role from a leadership perspective if you were to make on the commission? How can we take advantage of what's happening, but also balance not leaving ourselves vulnerable to industry coming in and going out, whether that's the coal mine, the gas, that's really a topic heavy on people's minds. And I don't think people are necessarily coming with solutions as much as they're coming with concerns, and they're looking for leadership to help make sure we don't have history repeat itself in Taylor County.
Right. One of the things that I think we need, we need to focus on. We need to try to attract supporting industry. We've got the Lear mine right on the outskirts of town, one of the largest employers of Taylor County. We need to try to attract some of the industry, machine shops, truck repair services, stuff like that hire skilled labor, so that we can get some good paying jobs for the people that live in and around Grafton and Taylor County, first and foremost. Second off, and I know as a Republican candidate, anytime anybody says raising taxes is a no-no. In my mind, and I think this needs to occur on the state level, we have to look at the gas severance tax, because they can't move the gas. I mean, it's under our area, and they're going to come and get it. It makes sense. And if we sit back and just allow all the out-of-state companies to come and extract our resources, and we don't put in place the infrastructure so that we can benefit from that, history is going to repeat itself. It's going to happen. So I think that, and again, this, in my mind, the last thing that you should ever do, especially when you're trying to attract industry, is to raise taxes, because that, that's just going to, the place of business is going to go somewhere else. But this is the one instance where they can't go somewhere else. You can't move the gas. It's under our state. So I really think that in this one instance, it makes sense to make sure that the folks from West Virginia benefit from providing fuel to the nation. Yeah, and that's what we've done for years. And look at the shape the state is in with coal. When the past government declared the war on coal, West Virginia was struggling, and West Virginia still continues to struggle. There are countless people in our community that were out of work, because of all the coal mines shutting down, and we can't allow that to happen again.
Yeah, it does seem like, I think that's a sentiment with the folks of the county, is we do have a hand to play, and we want to make sure we play it right.
That's right.
We have some hand right
That's
here.
Right. That's right.
So I think your sentiment is shared by many, at least from the questions we've got. Another concept, and I don't know if this is much a hangover from past commissions or if it's true of the current commission, I'm just not sure, but there is this concept of folks don't see, or they perceive the county commission not being as collaborative with the city. And you mentioned some city-county stuff, and I think a lot of people are thinking that way, as a small community, we've got to pull together, but there is a sentiment that the collaboration doesn't exist or isn't as effective as it should be. And so can you talk about how you as a commissioner, if you're elected, would reach across, not across the aisle, but maybe down the street, right, to the city, or any other organizations for that matter, and try to create a more collaborative environment?
Actually, Alex, I've already started doing that. I've reached out to Kevin Stead and Wayne Bell, both with the city, to see if there are areas that they need extra funding from the county, or areas that they'd like to work together with the county commission to better serve our community. But it's like I said before, we are a small community, and we have to think outside the box. We can't keep up with the status quo. I've lived in Grafton for 18 years, and I've seen very little change, and that's actually the exact reason I'm running for county commission, because, and I've told a couple of my friends, like, it seems to me like it's a retirement program, and there's very little accomplished, and I know by me saying that I'm probably stepping on some toes, but I'm that's the kind of guy I am. If you want to ask me how I feel about something, expect me to tell you, and I really think that that's the best thing that we can do. But we're a small community. We have to work together. We have to.
Yeah, makes sense. Rob, as is customary on this program, we offer you the last word. What is it you want to tell the voters of Taylor County?
Actually, I've got a surprise. I've been working behind the scenes for about probably about the last 4 months in trying to get a military flyover approved for the Memorial Day Parade. I got notice yesterday that the mission is a go.
Oh, wow.
So the flight wing out of Martinsburg, the great big cargo planes, the same one that flew over the WVU game here recently, is going to conduct a flyover at the start of the Memorial Day Parade. So
that's fantastic.
I'm already working hard for Taylor County. I think that's a great thing for not only for the veterans, but for all of the families that have lost a veteran, and we are now the official Memorial Day Parade of the state, and that is something that will draw people to our community. And whatever we can do in order to make it bigger and better without spending money, this is a free service, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a huge draw, and it'll pull lots of people in, and they'll come and spend lots of money in Taylor County. So I've been involved in the community since I've lived here. I continue to do as much as I can as a private citizen, and I really hope that if I can make it to getting put in office, that you're going to see some serious change in Taylor County.
Great. All right, Rob Angus, County Commission. Thanks for coming by.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good luck.